Chicago, the Windy City, has seen another weekend of violence, multiple shootings, lives lost, and communities shaken. As questions mount about whether local leaders are doing enough, former President Donald Trump is signaling tougher federal crackdowns. Tonight, we ask, could federal intervention be the turning point, or is it just another flashpoint in the battle over crime and immigration enforcement? Welcome to Global Insight News. I'm your host, and in this report, we take a closer look at the escalating crime crisis in Chicago, the heated debate over immigration enforcement, and the growing tension between local and federal authorities. Chicago has long been in the national spotlight when it comes to violent crime. This past holiday weekend was no exception. The city witnessed multiple shootings, leaving at least 7 people dead and more than 40 others injured. For many residents, this has tragically become the new normal, a phrase that should alarm every policymaker. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has been reluctant to deploy the National Guard, insisting that such measures are only necessary in extreme emergencies. He maintains that Chicago does not currently meet that threshold. Critics, however, argue that the crisis on the ground tells a very different story. Meanwhile, the Trump administration, during its time in office, had pushed for more aggressive federal involvement in cities experiencing surges in violent crime. Federal reinforcements, according to reports, helped drive down crime in Washington, D.C., within just 12 days, resulting in over 1,500 arrests and the seizure of 150 illegal firearms. That approach, supporters argue, could offer lessons for Chicago. But the debate is not only about crime, it's also deeply tied to immigration enforcement. Local leaders, including Chicago's current mayor, Brandon Johnson, have pushed back strongly against federal crackdowns, framing them as overreach and even as threats to democracy. Mayor Johnson argues that federal involvement undermines local authority and community trust. His critics counter that the first duty of government is to protect its citizens, and rising violence shows that more urgent action is needed. Adding to the controversy is the state's recent implementation of the SAFE-T Act, which eliminated cash bail and changed how suspects are detained before trial. Supporters say this is a step toward fairness in the justice system, while opponents argue it has made it easier for repeat offenders to return to the streets quickly. Radio host Ray Stevens, speaking on the issue, pointed out that many crimes are committed by the same individuals, people who are arrested, released, and then reoffend. That cycle, he warns, is fueling frustration and fear across Chicago neighborhoods. Residents are also raising concerns about the strain on local resources. Some point out that taxpayer money is being stretched thin between crime prevention, social services, and immigration-related costs. This has sparked debates about priorities, with many families asking why public schools are underperforming while budgets continue to run short. These frustrations are feeding a growing movement among voters who feel ignored, and some are signaling that Chicago's political landscape could shift in the near future. On the other hand, community activists stress that simply adding more law enforcement is not enough. They argue that crime is often rooted in poverty, lack of opportunity, and systemic inequality. Without addressing these underlying issues, they warn, Chicago risks staying caught in a cycle of violence. It's clear that the city is at a crossroads. The choice facing Chicago is not an easy one, balancing public safety, constitutional protections, and community trust in law enforcement is a challenge without simple solutions. What we do know is that every shooting, every carjacking, and every violent act takes a toll on real people, families who grieve, neighborhoods that lose their sense of security, and children who grow up surrounded by fear. Chicago is not alone. Cities across the United States are grappling with similar issues, from spikes in violent crime to complex debates over immigration enforcement. This is part of a larger national conversation about how best to protect communities while also upholding the values of justice and fairness. Former President Trump's call for tougher federal crackdowns reflects one vision of the path forward. Local leaders who resist that approach represent another. And caught in the middle are ordinary citizens who simply want safe streets and stable communities. So, what do you think? Should the federal government take a stronger hand in addressing crime in cities like Chicago, or should local leaders continue to chart their own course? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this report informative, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Global Insight News, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update on the stories that matter most. Thank you for watching.